I was assigned as a mechanic to the 515 Sapper Company out of Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We were still doing ride-alongs. It was still early in the deployment. The mission was to leave Ghazni and go to the gates of Ghazni, which should have been about a 2-hour turnaround. It was a busy Saturday. There was cars everywhere. They do not have stop signs. They do not have street lights. It's a wild, wild west when it comes to driving out there. So we ended up making a left turn in the center of Ghazni, and we came to a stop, and the two vehicles that were up in the front, they just kept going. I know that we all realized this probably wasn't a good thing. There was nowhere to turn around. There was a lot of people around. There's a lot of traffic. It's just not a good place to have your vehicles break down. That's for sure. You don't want to be in the city when that happens. After about 3 minutes of sitting there, we started to gather a crowd of people that this is normal when something breaks down or the convoy stops. People just start gathering around. Turns out that the third vehicle in the convoy broke down and it wasn't wanting to start. So I went up there and I opened the front door to the third vehicle and I asked the driver, I'm like, hey man, what's the problem? And of course he said in his own words, I don't fucking know. He gets out and I get in and I try to start it. I could immediately tell something was up with the power system, like the batteries or the alternator, because it would crank but it wouldn't start. So I told the driver, I said, hang on a minute. I walked back to the convoy commander. So at this time there was a large crowd gathered. Our dismounts were kicked out and it had been about 15 minutes. We did the best we could with security, being that the roads were too narrow for us to do anything like get in position. I made it to the convoy commander to tell him the situation. At this point we had two options. Either I tow it out of here or I tried to get it to start. So I went back to my vehicle to get my tool bag and those handy dandy slave cables. I asked vehicle 4 to come up to vehicle 3 so we could try to slave it off. Truck started and we continued on our way until about 20 minutes later when the problem happened all over again. I ended up hooking the vehicle up, and when we got back to the base, turns out that there was a loose wire on the generator, which means that the vehicle wasn't charging. All the power was coming from the batteries, draining them and causing it to die.